Welcome, friends of Ai4Autism. Today, we continue with our series of interviews where we hear from members of our community and listen to their stories. And we have a very, very special guest with us today. We first got acquainted when he reached out to us, to me and Milo, when we were hiking all the way from Brighton to Scotland back in October. And since then, a beautiful brotherhood has formed across the Atlantic Ocean. I feel very blessed for that. And Jamiel is based in the United States, and he's a father to an autistic son. And Jamiel also runs an amazing show on Instagram called the Ausome Show, and others too. And we'll be hearing more about that from him very soon. A few months ago, we had the pleasure of being interviewed by Jamiel, and today we have the honor of interviewing him. And joining us all the way from Philadelphia in the United States, please welcome Brother Jamiel Owens.
Yes. Thank you. I would say privilege, but it's a little bit more than that. This is a dream come true. Being able to interview amazing individuals like yourself that I've never met in my life. We're over the pond, as they say. I'm over here, you're over there, and like you said, you can't put a price on a bond that you actually grow with individuals you never met before, and you continue that, and it grows into a brotherhood. So this is definitely an honor, man. I'm definitely blessed to be on your show, just to give a little bit of my perspective on the autism community.
Well, as I said, Brother Jamiel, the honor is all ours, and thank you for joining us. I think we'll launch in straight in by asking about yourself and your son. I mean, tell us about your son and how old he was when he was diagnosed with autism.
Okay, so my son is Shane. His name is Shane. He's 12 years old right now. He was diagnosed at the age of 3. I think the real pivotal point when it comes down to the diagnosis is really paying attention to strange things that are going on with your child. Often, I like to just point out the elephant in the room. Often in the Black and brown community, we tend to go towards the old school method of, oh, he or she will grow out of it. It's just a tick, it's just some nerve or something like that. But when you really observe some strange behaviors inside of your child, there's nothing wrong with actually going in a little bit deeper to find out what those strange behaviors were. This is what me and his mother, which was my wife at the time, which we actually sat down, we talked about it, and we went ahead and got him basically evaluated for possible autism. And after having, gone to that appointment, he was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. Now, back then, he was born in 2008. Back then, there was a distinction between high functioning and low functioning. So he remained on the higher spectrum, high functioning autism.
That's absolutely amazing, Brother Jamiel. And you mentioned about the when he was evaluated. What was the evaluation like, and what did the process involve?
Well, I want to unpack it a little bit, because people have to understand there's a lot of people out there, a lot of fathers, a lot of mothers too, that are just terrified at the potential of their child being on the spectrum. You have to understand is that, we go to the doctors every single day for things that we don't know what's wrong with our body. We seek medical help, medical attention, and we want to understand what the diagnosis is and what we can do to actually progress past that. This is the same thing. It may sound a little cold by me saying this because I've been through this, but you're simply bringing your child to a doctor to evaluate what their actual motor skills are, what their attention span are, what appeals to them the most. Are they really paying attention to their environment, and where they're at, mentally, intellectually, when it comes down to solving different problems. You're just basically allowing your child to sit in a room with an analyst, a therapist, an analyst. She will actually sit down, he or she will sit down. They will be very, very gentle, very open with your child. Their job is to draw the child near to them to understand exactly what strange strange incidents you're actually seeing with the child. Once they actually gather that, you will be outside the room. You can actually look inside the room. You will actually sit down with that particular doctor and go over the results. The child will not be in the room. So those are the things that you want to expect. Now, once again, when you look at me, I want you to see someone that's just like you. I've been through this. I've been that guy to say, no, not me. I can't have a child that's not normal. I want to hit a restart button. I want to leave. This is not my child. I have said every single thing under the sun, including pointing to his mother and saying, this is your fault. I've been that guy. I don't want you to do that. I want you to understand that this is nobody's fault. You have to understand the blessing that you have just embarked on, something that God has given you in order to help grow yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, and also emotionally. And you have to embrace that. So parents, when you're thinking about having your child diagnosed for autism, take it one step at a time. Take a deep breath, have an understanding that both of you are going in this together as teammates, and you're both coming out as a family unit with that child, and you're going to grow and you're going to progress and you're going to get through that. Doesn't mean the end of the world of your child. It's only the beginning. Just remember that.
That's absolutely beautiful, Brother Jamiel. There's a lot of wisdom behind what you've said right now as well. And you just touched on it right now. I'd like you to elaborate. I mean, after this, a lot of people can have quite a knee-jerk reaction when they discover that their child is autistic, or maybe they themselves. After discovering Shane was autistic, how did you feel initially? And how have you seen yourself change or evolve as a person, as a father?
Oh, man, listen, um, I definitely accredited my growth to two things. The first thing is my religious preference, which is Christian. The second thing is my son. I truly believe in the wake of everything that was happening in my life, death of two people that was very close to me, my mother and my great grandmother. Just trying to find my way as a man in this life, relationships going bad, jobs, just being, almost evicted from several places, trying to find work, trying to get an understanding of who I was. I've been on my own since I was 16. My son came at the perfect time. And what I mean by that is that I was pretty much at my wit's end with life. I was so upset. I was so depressed. I was so angered, similar to what people are going through right now with this pandemic. And it only took me the time to get on my knees and really put it before God and say, I can't handle this no more. And when I opened up, he actually gave me the present right in front of my face, which was my son. That's my angel. The love, the smile, no matter what I did wrong in this world, no matter what I thought I failed in, he always welcomed me with open arms. There were several times my son seen me cry, because that's how much I was at my wit's end. I couldn't understand what was going on in my life, and he was there to embrace me. My son has shown me nothing but compassion, and in the form of his love and also God's love, it gave me the possibility to love on everyone, people just like you, people who are maybe watching this, other individuals. It allowed me to actually open up and break down and say, it's okay. It's okay not to know what you're doing. It's okay to say it's too much for me. It's okay to seek help. My son has just been an intricate part of my growth as a man. He allows me to open up to individuals to say, I love you. And I wasn't able to do that because I was going by what the world characterizes as a man, being that alpha man. Well, the real facts is, to be an alpha man, you actually have to be compassionate. The true alpha man is Jesus himself in the Bible. That is the man who spoke and still is being spoken about millions of years after the Bible was written, millions of years after he was actually on this earth. So really thinking about that, where are you as a man? Do you realize the gift that you have in front of you? Do you realize the love that is actually inside of that child, whether it's a boy or a girl? Do you really understand that? And if you don't, I implore you to take time to really crack open that callous part of your heart and open it up and really just understand that it's okay not to know what's going on with your child. Take their hand, walk with them through this journey, and they will unleash so many different emotions that will be, in the wake of your life. Trust me, it's a blessing. It definitely is.
It truly is a blessing. And when it comes to love and compassion, I can see it, I can feel it through the screen. I'm sure everyone who's going to be watching this as well will be able to see and feel it radiating from what you just said right now. Brother Jamiel, how were your family and friends towards you and your son after discovering he was autistic? What was the surrounding environment like?
Man, you're going to, people are going to, they're going to come into contact with this. It was a lot of unknown questions, a lot of uncomfortable silence when it came down to explaining, what your son has or daughter has, what they need, and really the ultimate question: how did this happen? We're still waiting for how is this happening. We don't know the exact cause of this. And this is what compels me, is that, no disrespect to other things that are going on with children, cancer, leukemia, multiple sclerosis, so many different things that are going on with children, and we don't know the cause of. And autism is growing. I believe the number now is 1 in 54. It increased from 1 in 59. I mean, that's incredible. That's a very, very important number to realize. This is more pertinent inside boys. It is found in girls, but is more harder to actually identify because of the actual, I believe they call it the genetic makeup of girls. So this is something that's very, very scary and very intricate. I remember my father for the first time meeting Shane, and his question could have been seen as ignorant, but he didn't know. And he was like, wow, why is he so hyper? You know, at that time, his mom took offense to it. I kind of took offense to it, but then I understood that he hasn't had a child that has been on the spectrum. I wasn't on the spectrum. So therefore, that's the time that we actually educate. So I had to sit down with my dad and I educated him a little bit about what autism is. And I let him know this is going to be a lot of learning about a child who may seem a little different than you. But remember, this is your grandchild, and he's going to grow, and he's going to pull on you for information and love. Just be there for him. Just guide him. If he says something wrong, make sure you correct him, just like you would a child that is not on the spectrum. Friends, I really lost a lot of friends, unfortunately, because they couldn't grasp what autism was, how my role as a father changed. There was more time that needed to be devoted towards my son, and opposed to things like going out and partying and different things, just hanging out. I couldn't do that because the growth and the development of my son determines on both parents actually being at the life, whether they're together or not. So I had to change a lot of my habits that I had previously. You're going to lose some friends, but you're going to gain the clarity of who exactly is there for you, and most importantly, who is there for your child. You have to be patient, and this is what these children, these awesome individuals, teach you, is patience. There are a lot of people out here that we could characterize as ignorant, and when I say ignorant, is because they don't know a lot about autism. But this is the time that we actually sit them down and we say, listen, if you give me your ear for about 5 or 10 minutes, I can educate you. I can school you on a little bit about autism. And I think that's where it's funny, because right now we're in a world filled with racism and different other issues that are going on. And all it takes is, once again, I refer it back to what I like to call as God's angels, sitting down, being patient and listening. It's funny. The same thing we do with our awesome children and that we require from other people from awesome children is the same thing that we need to do with each other. That's all you have to do.
That's really powerful stuff there, Brother Jamil. I mean, you earlier described how Shane is like your angel, and now you say he's like the light. In a way, he's the light that shone on you and guide you towards finding out what your priorities are and who your real friends are in the world, and who needs a bit of guidance himself, could say. Absolutely amazing. And growing up, you've mentioned some of the challenges faced right now, but as Shane was growing up, what were some of the challenges that you encountered as he grew older?
Understanding that he is not meant to be like me. He's not meant to be like a normal child, that he is meant to be different. Um, Understanding that I didn't lose in this world. I didn't lose by having Shane, by having a son with autism. I actually gained so much more. Um, But what I also did find out more so about me, behind my purpose, my drive, my passion, is to share it amongst the world. Now, this is before I actually had a deeper understanding of the Bible and my religion, whereas love on thy neighbor. I was selfish. I always wanted to make sure that me and mine was on top. I didn't want to share. I was always looking out for the next big thing for me to go on. And when I started to really understand what autism was, how these individuals love, how they actually grow, what makes them prosper in life, these are the things that we scream for on a daily basis. The funny thing is, and it's so much to unpack, but I'm trying to bring some points because I want people to really listen. Okay, so it's a known fact that as human beings, we want to belong. We want to belong to something that's bigger than us and we want to fit in, right? So we want that. We're always telling people to be different. Be different than this, be different than that. Don't be just like other people. This is how you get found. People on Instagram, people on social media, they're different. They get exposed. They have millions of followers. That's what the world is based on. How come the same principles that we promote out in this world, we seem to forget about these individuals who are living those principles
Yeah.
every single day? Is it the fact that we label them disabled? Is it that fact that we throw them in the corner and say, oh, well, you're a little bit different than us, so we don't need you, but we're following the same thing that you guys have already embraced, and it's natural. We can learn so much more about this, and it's the principles is just endless when it comes down to this. Um, we really need to embrace what autism is. I think this is a lesson. I think this is a lesson in growth, but most importantly, this is a lesson in humanity, what it is to have humility in this world. You know, I really do think so. It's so much more that you can unpack with this question, but I think it starts right with the heart. And these awesome individuals, they actually do everything from the heart. Everything from the heart. There's not one thing that my son doesn't do for me just to make sure he understands that he wants to impress. Now, that's a bad thing, but also too, it's a good thing because I know that when it comes time for him to get a job, he's going to be that employee. He's going to be that one that his boss going to be able to go towards. He's going to be a good worker. When he gets into that relationship, that marriage, he's going to be right there beside his wife. And it's funny too, these are the same principles that we as normal people struggle with.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, talking about unpacking, I think you've unpacked quite a lot there, but I'm looking forward to further discussions where we're unpacking more and more and more. Now, Brother Jamiel, with your experience as a father to Shay, you not only have your responsibility as a husband, as a father in work as well, but what else have you done? Because you've set out and you've gone out and created some platforms to raise awareness and build a community. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Brother Jamiel?
Okay, so I'm the host and the creator of the Ausome show. This started back in 2016, I want to say 2016, where you know what, I sat there and I felt like my son wasn't being heard, like he wasn't being recognized, like I was just another man out here with problems, another black man. I'm gonna be real, another black man out here with just problems in life. And I don't want that for my son. So what I did is, by myself with the help of friends, I came up with a whole marketing plan. I came up with a slogan. I joined the Autism Speaks Foundation, had a team for my son Shane, Team Shane and Friends. And what I did is I sold T-shirts, I sold wristbands that just spoke the message, which I felt which was real important at the time, which is I'm not autistic, I'm awesome. Hence the Ausome show. So after the success of that, I raised over $2,500 by myself. By myself, 20 average blue collar worker father who had no idea about raising money. how to talk to people, how to talk to some of these businesses and say, hey, listen, this is who I am. This is what I'm actually bringing to the table. I want you to be a part of it. And people were so generous to be sponsors. I had sponsors and everything. It was amazing. But after, I handed over that check, it was, okay, now what? Now what's the next step? That's when I came up with the Ausome Show. And I created this, it was on online radio. I created this platform to allow fathers to speak out and speak up about autism. For me to really talk about what I've been through in my life and be open and transparent with it and allow people to understand that they're not alone. Women, mothers, I had mothers as guests, mothers who have never spoken about their child being on the spectrum were open to actually speaking on my show because they felt comfortable. They felt that real grassroots campaign, that real urban campaign, and they felt at home. So I opened this platform up to expose this to so many people that were just in the neighborhood. That was my focus for that. The Ausome Show, I based it out of Philadelphia. It was on online radio. But when I moved outside of Philadelphia, 45 minutes away, I said, okay, well, I can't do the online radio anymore. What can I do? So that's when I started doing the IG Lives. The Ausome Show has transformed over to IG and also on YouTube as well. The interviews are still interactive using Zoom. Everybody is using Zoom now. So I'm doing interviews. People are actually interviewing me, just like you guys. So I'm speaking up and I'm continuing to do what I need to do, my due diligence to make sure that the autism community is represented. I'm also doing speaking engagements as well, looking for more speaking engagements to give basically my 2 cents and what's going on in the autism community. Now, I happen to have a very important individual to myself and my son's life, to my family's life. His name is Ben Hartraff. He was the first guest on the Ausome Show, him and his son, him and his father, Glenn. And ever since then, we just stayed in contact. I consider him my brother. And you know what? During COVID, the beginning of COVID, he called me and said, listen, I want to do something. I want to do something, a show for the community to make sure they understand they're not alone. And I was furloughed. I said, hey, we might as well go ahead and do it. We have done the Ben and Jay show from the beginning of COVID, and we are still going strong. We're talking about over 30 shows, and we have spoken to everyone like, we have spoken to the Baldwin brothers, Hollywood Baldwin brothers. We have spoken to the creators and writers of Pixar's Float for Pixar. Like, it's just so amazing how many people. Hero Elementary, we have spoken to the writer directors of them. We have had so many people on our show, and the list continues to grow and grow and grow. I feel as though I'm still not doing enough. And I'm talking about, I've created 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th article that's about to be published worldwide that I'll be putting out next year. And I still feel like there's not enough representation of autism that's going on. And the reason why I feel about this is because it's still not being understood. And when you have that passion and that drive, and I have to look at my son and I have to worry about his future, will they really understand who you are when it's time for you to leave the nest and go on your own? That is my mission. By the time he reached 21, for this world to really understand autism. Now, unfortunately, because of events in this world, now we got to add on a couple things. Now we have to add on the fact that he's a biracial child. So can we understand autism, but can we understand a biracial child with autism, how he or she will interact in the communities? What can we do to actually assist them? So many different things. I have a lot on my plate, but I'm doing it, and I don't plan to stop doing it. And yes, I get weary at times, and it becomes a battle. That's why I have God. That's why I have my wife. That's why I have my son. There's so many people that are looking and pushing me that I have no choice but to continue to do this. So you know what? On my obituary, it will read autism advocate. It will make sure it has that, because I'm going down in history as the most outspoken father within the community. And we're not going to say Black and brown communities, all communities. We're going to just say that I will be that advocate that will speak out and will be for the people in the urban neighborhoods that are just too afraid to talk about it. I'm that representative. That's what I want to be, and that's what I will continue to be.
Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, congratulations and well done to you, Brother Jamiel. for everything you've
Thank
done
you.
and everything you'll continue to do. I mean, you mentioned your obituary. I think something else that we said, a guy who went out to do it, he did it, and he continued to do it. And not only you, but you being that voice, you've also given permission to others to have their own voice and come out and start speaking and talking about their experience as well. And I think that's something powerful, leading by example. That's something that I say that you've definitely done, and you've done it beautifully. Uh,
Thank you.
Brother Jamiel, Shane, does he have any sensory sensitivity issues?
Um, uh, Lotion is one of his biggest things. I gotta tell him, hey, it's time to put lotion on. He'll put it on, but quickly he has to go in the bathroom and wash his hands
Mm,
to make him feel a little bit calmer.
mm,
When he gets overexcited,
mm,
and this is one thing that I want people. I'm actually with Ben. I'm actually in the process of training police officers as well on how to read an individual with autism. I'm law enforcement myself. I'm currently a firefighter. I'm currently a firefighter here in Hatfield, Pennsylvania. So it's important for me for law enforcement, first responders to really understand what autism is. So when he gets excited, most people on the spectrum, they flap their hands. You might see a lot of this, which my son has done.
mm,
Now he's actually starting to flicker with his private area. And that's just a sign of excitement because of different sensory things that's going on. It's not to be alarmed, but it's a redirection moment. That's a moment. Very good cause. Very good. Excuse me. Very good characteristic. Redirection. You're going to know that word if you're in the autism community. You know that word. So when you tell them, "Hey, listen, Shane, do me a favor. Don't do that. Are you excited?" And he'll answer yes, and you'd be like, "Okay, well, just give me a high five or say yay or something that shows a little bit of excitement instead
mm,
of doing that because he might be out in public and that might make someone uncomfortable. So these are some things that I've taught my son, and I'm continuing to teach him. You could do the same thing, but those are some of the things that he's really a little on edge about, some sensitivity as far as different textures.
mm,
uh that's really about it. He's doing well, being in social settings. As far as being alone, he does like to be alone. But if he feels comfortable, he's nonstop talking. Anything that makes him happy, he will share that information with you, and he'll do it enthusiastically. He'll just love to talk about it and talk about it, and you can learn a lot from him. So that's really it. We are fortunate. There's a lot of other individuals on the spectrum, unfortunately, that have a lot of sensitivity issues. And once again, that's when the patience come in. That's when the understanding and the learning comes in. It's going to be okay, parents. It is really going to be okay. This is a time to really learn something. You can learn those words on a rap song. You can learn how to sit there and do different things on a game system. This is the time that you actually have to learn your child, adapt yourself to that child, and then make the world learn who your child is.
absolutely amazing. I mean, thank you for sharing that. 4 years ago, I was caring for an autistic young man at age 16, and what you described there, your experience with Shane when he would feel excited, his hand going down there, it was the exact same thing this young gentleman was doing. But had I known what I know now, what you shared, I would have reacted very differently back then. I was a bit more, nope, nope, you can't do that. I should have redirected it, as you said, high five, guided elsewhere, done something different. So I learned something right now that I wish I'd known back then. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that, Brother Jamiel. I'm conscious of time, so we'll breeze through the next few questions. So as you're aware, us at AI4Autism, myself, Milo, and the team, we're currently raising awareness to build a tool to help people with sensory sensitivity issues, namely to help identify triggers. It's going to be a long-term project. Would a tool like this have helped your son, or do you see it helping others?
I do absolutely see it helping other individuals
Mhm,
on the spectrum, and as well as my son. As you know, individuals that are on the spectrum are very computer savvy.
mhm,
Very anything that has to do with electronics, they are the utmost savviest when it
yeah,
comes down to it. I think this is a building block that can help them as far as the awkwardness when it comes to social interactions, when it comes to doing things like playing sports, other things that may seem out of their reach. And what we call society, maybe this technology will be able to open up the doors because they'll be able to experience what it is actually that they need to do using this type of technology.
Amazing.
You actually how to sit there and build something and what year was it made and where was it from, and he could tell you everything. So just imagine if your child is interested in playing a sports like baseball but doesn't know the real fundamentals. So on top of you teaching them, him or her outside, let them actually use the tool that can actually assist you with the teaching of that. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You know, I really do believe that what you guys are doing is the next step. And once again, finding out what is autism, where it comes from, and how we can sit there and progress our children past this.
Exactly. And thank you very much for your support, Brother Jamiel, not only on the platform and raising awareness and talking to us, but also for your donation and also spreading the word. We greatly appreciate it. Brother Jamiel, as we approach the end of this interview, is there a message that one message that you'd like to send out to our audience about autism and what it's like to have a child on the spectrum?
Well, I'm going to say this message, and this message is just for everything that's going on in the world right now. I like to go towards scripture. If people aren't familiar with the Bible, I understand it. This is pretty much me praying for you, loving on you, hoping the best and well for you. So this is Romans chapter 12, verse 12. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing steadfastly in prayer. What we're doing right now in this world is a culmination of bad and good. It's a battle that cannot be seen, but it's being seen, it's being recognized with our hearts, our souls, and really our emotions. It's really asking yourself, which side are you on? And when you determine what side you're on, which is hopefully the good side, what are you doing to defeat the evil? Loving these kids, understanding these kids is nothing but God. It's the good. It's everything that we need in this world right now. I think we are really, really lacking. And I'm not speaking just about autism, I'm speaking about all disabilities. I think what we're really lacking right now is what it is to actually be human. Right now, I can honestly say this world is in chaos and we're acting like barbarians. But yet we have the key to a successful, loving, long-term life for each and every one of us and these children and all children with disabilities. So in this prayer, I want everybody to know there is hope for everything that's going on right now. The hope is that you'll grow, that you'll let go of past hurts, depressions, angers, anxieties. We have patience and tribulation. Everybody out here right now, a lot of people aren't working. They're patiently waiting. What's going on? What's going to happen? And then steadfastly in prayer. If you're not praying for yourself, I'll pray for you. There's someone else that's going to be praying for you. But all these key points are in our children, our awesome children, our awesome adults. Get to know one, get to understand, learn about autism, learn about the many different puzzles that comes down to when it understands autism. And most importantly, understand the parents. Check in on them, check in on their mental stability, ask them if they're okay, if there's anything they need. Because you know what? I'm quite tired of hearing, I can't do this anymore, or autism has won. Autism will never win. Why? Because it's a name, it's a figure of speech. Autism itself is the most beautiful thing that you can ever uncover in this life, and it will forever reign. Why? Because it's the love of God.
That was wonderful. Brother Jamiel, thank you very, very much. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this very fascinating interview. And rest assured, this will not be the last time that we'll be hearing from Brother Jamiel. Brother Jamiel, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Brother Jamiel, there is one final question. How can our audience find out more about you, your work, the Ausome Show, and about all the things you do?
Listen, follow me on IG, the Ausome Show. That's TheAusomeshow, all one word. On Facebook, the Ausome Show, same spelling. Also, too, I'm on TikTok now because my son just told me I need to be on TikTok to be more popular. So I'm on TikTok now, the Ausome Show, the same thing. And you can see a lot of my interviews that I have is on the Ausome Show 2020. and that's on YouTube. So we got a couple of different platforms, and I also have a podcast that's on Spotify, and also Anchor. So you can feel free to listen to us, to join us, to follow us. Trust me, you're going to learn something, but most importantly, share that information. Share that information, because there's another father or mother out there that's keeping quiet for too long. And as you know, with autism, there's not a lot of time. We need to get these people out and speaking out about autism.
Amazing. Brother Jamiel, thank you so much once again for your time. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure having you. And if you all liked what you saw today and you want to share your story, please do get in touch with us. Let's put your voice out there in the world. Thank you all once again. Shaheen from AI4Autism and Brother Jamiel Owens, and bye for now.